you want to optimize yourself spiritually. So you want to be more zen, more chill, more enlightened or whatever. And you start to do things to try to realize that. But the interesting thing is that at some point you can realize that you're building actually more spiritual ego because you're spiritually striving a lot. When you start your development journey, you maybe have some sort of crisis which makes you look inward. And that could be maybe a breakup or something that happens that is just not nice and you think it might be me. So that's something which then forms you and brings you into a sort of conscious state. Like, okay, who am I? What am I doing? What do I want? Things like that. You start being more reflective and you start consciously doing things in your life. You go from unconscious doing to conscious doing. And then from conscious doing, you start to maybe optimize your life, sort of personal development. I know what I want and I'm trying to optimize my routine and everything to fit that. And then from there, you maybe get this sense of spirituality that you want to optimize yourself spiritually. So you want to be more zen, more chill, more enlightened or whatever. And you start to do things to try to realize that. But the interesting thing is that at some point you can realize that you're building actually more spiritual ego because you're spiritually striving a lot. And then you can move into being. So you're still conscious, but instead of doing something with everything that you're conscious of, you start to be with everything that you're conscious of. You go from doing to being. You go from consciously doing stuff to consciously being with it. And with that, the meta resistance can melt away and you can slowly become more pure. You purify yourself because that's where the real work happens, because you're no longer resisting what is with your doing, but you start to embrace it. So all the resistance starts to melt away. You go from doing to being. From that place onward, it's interesting because on one hand, it's still important to look at yourself and look at suffering, look at the world and what's happening. But on the other hand, you don't want to work with that, you want to be with that. Because that's most effective to melt away your suffering, my friend. Bye.